1,000 and 2,000 emails every week. But if it's filtered well, you can still track what you're interested in. For instance, I know that Tim Hawker is doing that. He watches KK, but he has filters for SIG network. He sees his assignments. So it's definitely doable with Gmail. I just want to share my thoughts on that. And I have a lot of filters, a lot of sub-projects. And this is like my folder for direct mentions. Now, because I'm not watching KK in particular, and because SQL Lifecycle only maintains kubeadm in terms of KK, I basically have an on-demand link here. So every time somebody mentions kubeadm, I can appear like a boogeyman on their ticket, pretty much. And I basically just look what they're doing, why they are using kubeadm, where is the bug. And I use this as a method potentially to also notify other SIGs, because kubeadm is a high-level tool, and oftentimes it may be a bug in the kubelet, for instance. So I am going to remove SQL Lifecycle or area dash kubeadm, and I'm going to assign SIG node. So this is in a way a triage that I'm doing for kubeadm in particular. But if also this is not really a if this is a serious bug for kubeadm, I'm going to close the KK ticket, because you have a separate repository for kubeadm, and it's here. So this moves the ticket outside of KK, basically into the dedicated issue tracker for this project. Also, something that I'm doing on a pretty much regular basis as well is I just click issues without any filters, and I go through the issues on a, I cannot read everything, but I go on a quick glance. If something needs a SIG, or if just the title is interesting to me, I'm going to look inside, potentially assign a SIG, or just I can also ping people directly. I can mention them if I think this needs escalation of priority. So yeah, I'm doing this on a regular basis, but I know that a lot of people don't have the time to do this. For the issues in particular, for PRs, kubeadm is still in this repository. I obviously watch kubeadm PRs. I have a link for it as well. I believe it's this one. PRs with a kubeadm label. I obviously triage all the kubeadm PRs, but I also look at the other PRs, like everything that is going in kubeadm, in KK. I also look at it. For instance, if this is a small typo fix and it's outside of code freeze, I'm just going to OK to test it. So I'm just going to help the contributor by enabling the test to run, and to help them get on board faster, because I've seen PRs get stale. With a simple typo fix, a PR can get stale for months. People don't look at it, the PRs. Obviously, if something is like a critical urgent, I'm going to look at it as well. Deprecations. But this is like, it becomes a question of how much time do you have for the day? And like, are you really interested in some of these adjacent PRs to your area? Because for instance, if you work strictly on the kubelet, you might as well not be interested in, I don't know, kubeadm, because it's a higher level tool. So you might break kubeadm, but at the same time, the kubeadm maintainers, is their responsibility to also watch changes in the kubelet. I mean, I can also explain how we do particular issue triage for instance, in the kubeadm repository, if you want that.
Why is it different? And that's just a general question. Why do you do triage differently per repo or per sub-project?
I think this is related to the KEP that we are currently working on as well. I think it's always important to measure the volume to be able to figure out what is the demand for triage. So KK is a massive volume. So it has to be, there has to be ways to delegate the responsibility across different people. And other projects are doing that, but by, either a chain of command type of pattern, or they are basically splitting stuff into modules, separate repositories. In KK's, you cannot watch everything. I mean, even if you have a team of 10 people, you cannot watch like everything that is coming in. You cannot even guess if a certain ticket is affecting your particular area. You just have to look at it, and it becomes very difficult. And the difference here with KubeADM and other projects like outside of KK is that they are much smaller volume. So I can show you. If I go to KubeADM, we have 80 issues here. And I would argue that this is like an example of a repository that is very well managed, because we have, like, you can see the ratio here. What we do on a regular basis, we look for new issues, we move stuff around, close them. Like the other day, I pretty much moved all of the tickets to the 119 milestone. 118 was no longer applicable because we are in code freeze. And also, I can go through all these 80 tickets and I know what they're about. Like I have them in my head because I have already triaged this repository. So this is an example of something that is very low volume. KubeADM is also GA, it's mature. So it's quite different than what is happening in KK. KK is very fast moving. It's a lot of moving parts, different owners. There is a mixture of what is a bug and what is a triage, like a support ticket. Some users just want support, which I personally think that we should try to move away from KK at this point and try to only have bugs and feature requests if possible.
Thank you so much, Lumir. I am going to cut you right here and ask for questions from folks so that we can do a open discussion and talk about what some other folks are challenging, or what some of the challenges and things that folks are seeing. Does anybody have any questions directly for Lubomir right now as far as what he just showed?
Yes. So I think what's different about SIG cluster lifecycle is that y'all actually, I think, are one of the only SIGs that has a grooming doc that's in the community repo. You also actively use the lifecycle active label, which not a lot of people do. So can you talk about how you move something from maybe not triaged into lifecycle active?
Sure. Again, I'm going to go back to the KubeADM repo. The cluster API is also a good example for this particular usage. So let me find a lifecycle active label. Okay, so this is an excellent example because it's a good first issue, help wanted, everything. So like the other day, I logged the ticket and I said, hey, I need help on this. Good first issue. It's a cleanup and it's a low priority. And I said, here is what you have to do. Like, it's a pretty simple change. You just have to wrap an error. And from there, we got some folks coming by and saying, hey, I cannot work on this. And someone, actually, I don't know how they know about the label even, but they use this label. So now they're pretty much assigned. Because I look at this person's GitHub header of their message, I see that they're not a member. I don't think that actually you can see this here, but they're probably not a member. And that is one of the, actually, I think he's probably a member. But the difference between assigning someone a lifecycle active is that you can basically say that somebody's working on the issue, even if they are not a member. And this was the original argument for adding this life cycle label. As you can see, the people that know about it, they can just like they can say, okay, I'm working on this already. If they're not a member, that's the only way to indicate that somebody's working on the ticket. If for some reason they disappear, the Theta bot is going to kick in and mark the issue as stale, because the lifecycle labels override themselves. Like a lifecycle stale is going to remove lifecycle active. This is pretty much the explanation of how we use the label. If nobody sets the label, I'm going to do it myself. So we know that somebody's working on this.
So clarification there, does the words does the life cycle active, I know the life cycle stale label likely removes life cycle active, but mechanically the labels don't remove each other. ThetaBot actually issues the bot command to say remove lifecycle foo to do that. It doesn't happen. It happens within the issue, not within Prow's Magic Land. What I'm curious about is, yeah, I guess what is the so I guess like exiting triage for me would mean that the issue has enough details to proceed, right? That has it may be assigned, or it may have, like you said, the help wanted or good first issue labels on it. Is that kind of the same mechanisms that you go with?
So for context, we use the lifecycle active label even without, it's not really related to good first issue and help wanted. Was that your question?
So I get, I don't know what my question is, to be honest, but like, I guess you say that like you've exited triage by applying that label, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But lifecycle active, this was an argument where when we created the label, it's more of a case when it's useful for like in conjunction with a coming PR. So if imagine that if you apply this label, there has to be a PR that comes after. So it's an issue that is actionable, and it's not a ticket that has been triaged and, for instance, requires more discussion. It's an actionable ticket. This was something that we like designed the label to be.
So do you essentially allow ThetaBot to decide that something is no longer active, or have y'all been good about removing the lifecycle active label if it's no longer active?
Yes, I have manually removed the label multiple times because the ThetaBot is going to kick the stale label in 90 days. So it's like 3 months, I think. I had cases where I know that somebody is no longer working on this. They said to me in Slack. So I manually go here and I remove the lifecycle active label, and maybe add a comment that, hey, person X is no longer working on this. You can take this. Like maybe ask the previous person.
So if you,
Steven, can I cut you?
yes, sure, sorry.
All right, I'm cutting Steven. I wanted to cut the actual recording. So I'm stopping the recording now. Hold on.